GameMaker 8 Legacy Reborn Swag Lord Edition. Powered by SpaceShip.
Hey, what is up guys, Kota here, doing a quick spaceship shooter tutorial today. We're going to be using the GameMaker Kit that I created, which is just something to make GameMaker easier to use. This is the documentation for it. Basically just a bunch of helper functions really. This is the setup for it. So we're gonna start by going into our project and making the character object, which is object player. And we're going to add movement to him. So let's see here. Let me just check the size of that. Okay, that's good enough. That's perfect. Just checking the size of the font here. Okay, so it's pretty easy to make him move. We're going to put him in the actual game first, though, and we're going to set up the GameMaker Kit that we have with object control. We call that room boot, and then we'll call this room game. 8720. So what I did there is I created this object inside the room, which is object control. I removed the background color and set the room size, the width and the height. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also remove the background from here. I've already set that, which is the size, and I'm going to set the frame rate 60 frames per second. That's the standard that I go by. And here we're going to create a function, or call a script, game start. Okay. Or actually, yeah, game start. Okay, cool. So in here, what we're going to do is we're going to create the player. So let me just create him. We're gonna create the player in the center of the room, but on the bottom. So we're gonna use the script create at, which is from the GameMaker Kit, and that's going to be room width over 2, which is half the room width, which just means it's in the center. And we're going to create him a little bit above the end of the room, which is the bottom. Okay. And in here, of course, in object control, we're going to set this up. We're going to make this guy persistent. We're going to set up, what are we setting up? We're setting up GameMaker Kit. So we're gonna have to just copy that. Then we're gonna set that up. Alright, cool. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the next room. Okay. Gonna go to the next room, and now we're gonna test this out. And there we go, there's our little player. So anyways, what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to do a little bit of I'm gonna set up the window so that you guys can better see it. You don't have to do this. Okay, let's try that. Okay, perfect. You guys should see that pretty well. There's our little guy. He can't move right now. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna make him move. And I'm just gonna make him bigger. I'm gonna make everything bigger. I'm gonna double that, of course. Just so that it's more clear, the player can see everything easier. Okay. Perfect. Don't know if I should make this one bigger. I didn't think so. Okay. So let me just test it. Okay, cool. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the player move. So that's not actually very difficult to do. I'm going to use our kit as well, some functions from the kit, to make things a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we want the horizontal input. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say x is equal to clamp 32 remove x 32 x plus h times ts times how about 64. So what does this do? I'll explain. We're adding to our x coordinate the horizontal input that we have here. So if we have the two keys here, the right key, which is going to be D, and the left moving key, which is going to be A, and we subtract one from the other, in this case the right from the left, when we press the right but don't press the left, we're going to be left with 1. But when we press the left and not the right, it's going to subtract 1 from 0. So it's going to be -1. So we have basically a sign of positive or negative if we're moving to the right or to the left. And x coordinates go to the right means positive, and obviously negative is to the left. So what we're doing is we're going to take that and we're going to multiply it by the time scalar, which is basically our delta time thing. So multiplied by 64, which means every second we're going to be moving a total of 64 pixels maximum. And yeah, I guess that's it. That should pretty much do it. And of course we're going to clamp it. This is so that it stays inside the room, the spaceship that we have. So I'm going to try it out now. Okay, it's a bit slow, so I am going to change up that movement. Okay, that's not working. Oh, of course it ain't working. Oh wait. Minimum, maximum. Well, I'm not entirely sure what's with that. Oh, okay. I have to do that. And I'm just going to increase this a little bit. Minimum, maximum. And I'm going to change this. I'm going to make it faster. About 256 pixels per second. Okay, cool. So he moves. That's all good. No problem, but as you can see, we need to actually draw the background. So we're going to create an object. And we're going to put him in the game. And then we're gonna make that animate. So we're gonna take this guy, which is the sprite that we have for our background, and we're going to animate it like stretching across and then moving to give the illusion that we are moving, the player is moving, but really it's just a background. So the way that I'm gonna do that, I'm going to create a translator, and then every step is equal to translator plus times 100. Okay, let's do that. To the modulo of sprite get height s back stars. Okay, so that translator is going to give us the y coordinate displacement that we need, and it's going to basically, in case you don't know what modulo does, is it like clips out any remainder after you divide something. So if you have 150 and you modulo by 100, you're going to get 50 remainder after you divide by 100. That's what the modulo does. It basically gives you the remainder. If you have 250, it'll still give you 50. But if you have 260, it's going to give you 60. Okay? So we have that going on, and now we're going to have the draw event. And what we're going to do is we're going to say x, x, y, y is equal to 0. y is equal to, let's see here, minus translator, and then we're gonna loop draw the entire thing tiled to the room. So There we go. That should do the trick for us. Unless I made a mistake. So if you don't know, this is just a loop. It's gonna loop through the y coordinates, right? Every y coordinate, and then in there is going to loop for every x coordinate. I'm just going to draw the whole thing bottom to top. So let's see how we go with that. It's working, but there is a slight problem. It's going the opposite way. Okay, it's going the opposite way. It's going up, but we need it to go down. Okay, let me just change something real quick. Okay, cool. Alright, so what we're gonna do now, when we're drawing it, instead of drawing it a negative, we're gonna draw it positive. And how we're gonna do that is we're gonna say minus translator minus get high stars. So then it's gonna draw, it's gonna go down, 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 but every time it starts drawing, it's gonna subtract the height of the object, and it's gonna keep going down and down, and it's gonna redo that all the time. And I'm gonna make it a little bit faster as well, twice as fast. So okay, cool, we have that going on. We can move around. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do, okay, let me just check that. It is lagging for me for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. There is like a weird lag. But oh well, I don't really care that much, to be honest. Okay, cool. So let me just make sure I'm in the right place. Okay, cool. So we have the background happening. I'm gonna change his movement. I'm gonna change the player's movement. I'm just gonna draw the FPS as well. I just want to see if my FPS is dropping or something. Okay, cool. So we have that. I don't think it's my FPS that's dropping. I think it's just that I'm recording and it's like making a lag for whatever reason. Okay, and then I'm gonna make the player move a little bit faster. 320. Let's go with 320. Okay, it's stuttering for me, but the FPS is the same, so I can tell that it's just being screwy. Okay, cool. So we have that done. What's next? Health points and death. Okay, cool. So for the health points, we're going to create a new variable. HP is equal to 10 hit points or health points, and then we're gonna test it by subtracting okay, 1 second. 1 second. Oh yeah, okay. Okay. So we're gonna test that out. Okay, cool. So it's working, but obviously we can say, well, there's no point messing with it right now, but I will do it later when there's actually enemy bullets. Okay, so we have that set up, player health points / death. Now we're gonna set up the shooting of the bullets. Of course, we need to know where exactly the bullets are being created. So I'm gonna mark it here, 99659. $38.18. What that's gonna give us is it's gonna give us the relative coordinates. Okay, we have these coordinates now, and that's where we're going to actually create the bullet. And now I'm going to create an object for the bullet. I'm going to create a script for creating the actual bullet. Alright, so I'm gonna say direction is 90, speed is equal to actually not even. We're just gonna use speed because I forgot we're using delta time. Alright, cool. Okay, so we're gonna move the bullet around. This of course just takes the speed that we have, the variable, and multiplies by the time scalar, which is how much time in seconds has passed. So every second is gonna move that much. Of course, I think that's too slow, so we're gonna just buff that to 500. Um, we're gonna create the bullets. Of course, with these coordinates right here. Okay, so we have the shooting done, and now I guess we have to test it at this point. I'm just gonna add a little bit of a effect, make this a little bit of a, like, add a bit of coloring. I'm setting the color mode. This mode is for like visual effects. It like makes them more overlaying on top instead of just slapping it on top of things. I'm gonna add that in, and then I think we are ready, but we do have to actually put it in the player. Key pressed. It's gonna shoot. Alright, let's see what we have. Okay. No problem with shooting. There is a problem though. The bullets never actually get destroyed. Okay? And that is a bit of a problem because they're basically permanently there. I can illustrate this. Okay, so I'm gonna actually draw the amount of bullets that are out there. Okay, do you see that number? 20, 30, 40, just keeps going. So what we need to do is we need to create some system to destroy the bullets, okay? So with the bullet, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in the step event. Okay, so what it checks is if we're outside, I'm not sure that this is the right math. I think there's an easier way to do it. If the bottom of our mask is below 0, meaning that if we've gone from positive y coordinates to negative y coordinates on the bottom of our mask, that is going to destroy. Okay? And that should pretty much work. Okay, there we go. As you can see, it's working just fine. Alright, cool. So we have that going on. We have the player shooting. Not bad. But now we need to create the actual enemies, their movement, and their attacks. Okay? So we're gonna start by creating the enemy spawner. We're gonna put that in the game, just like that. I guess we're just gonna create a cooldown. Every this many seconds, an enemy is gonna spawn, and we're gonna make that every 5 seconds. Okay. Okay, we have the timer here. Okay, let's test it. It's just going to show us a message. It's not actually going to spawn an enemy. Okay, cool. It's working. Before spawning the enemy, we need the actual enemy. So we're going to create an enemy parent. I'm going to call him enemy. And what that is something that we can use to perform events on all objects of a certain kind. So for example, if we have our bullet and we want to collide with an enemy, we should check and try to collide with any kind of enemy, not just one type of enemy. Otherwise, if we only check for one type of enemy, then some bullets are going to go through some enemies. They're not going to touch them. But if we don't make them parents of anything, then we have to manually add collisions on one enemy, the other enemy, all of them, right? So point is, the best and most efficient way to do it is to create an enemy parent and then create enemy children. So we created our enemy parent, and we're going to set our parent, of course, to enemy. Okay? And for any collision events or anything that we want to do to all enemies, we just perform them on the parent. Okay? So let's see, what kind of behavior do we want for the enemy? I guess we're gonna have approach. We're gonna have 2 stages for the enemy. Approach stage, and then I'm just thinking, let me just think for a second. Because I want to have 2 types of enemies. This type of enemy, I want him to chase the player around. And then the other type, I want them to just float around. So, okay, cool. We're gonna create a variable to see if we are approaching, okay? And then we're gonna create what's called the base. I'm gonna just divide it constants. And base. Okay. And we're gonna say 64. And what this is gonna tell us where the actual y coordinate of the enemy is. That we want them to float in, okay? Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna float at the top. They're not actually gonna go down to the player or anything like that. Okay, it's gonna take them 2 seconds to come into the well, not exactly 2 seconds, but like, okay, let's change that up. They're going to be approaching the base level that they're going to be at, and then once they're there, they're going to stop. Okay? So what this is it's when they're outside of the room, because that's where they're going to spawn, they're going to come in, okay? And then they're going to actually start their quest for destroying the player object. Alright, and then I guess we don't really need to do anything with that for now. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to create that enemy. I'm going to be at the center of the room, and okay, that's 30, that's 20, 62, 64. Okay, so I think that this is a safe zone. Let's see if it's working. Okay, here we go. It approaches, okay, and then it stops. Oh, approaching, and then it stops, okay? And they just keep spawning. So for the AI of this guy, I'm actually going to simply make him try to follow the player around. So the X sign, what we're gonna do is we're gonna Okay, so obviously we need this, because if they don't exist and we try to get their coordinates, it's gonna screw up the game. So oplayer.x subtract x is what we're going to be playing with, and of course the sign here, that's going to be telling us if it's a positive or if it's a negative number. Okay, so we're going to check, is the player character a positive number away from us or a negative number away from us? And what that's going to give us is going to give us a number that we can use to move left or to move right. Okay, so x plus x sign times time scaling times our movement speed, which we're going to actually set here, 200. And then for the y, we're going to use our current y coordinate. Oh, enemy, that's what we want. Okay. Okay, so we programmed the movement of that. I think that is all there is to it. Let me just check if it's working or not. Okay, he moves around, but he is moving. Okay. Yes. And X, take X. I just have to change this up a little bit. Okay, we have that displacement, we have the sign, and then we're gonna check if ABS X displacement smaller than So what I'm doing now is I'm making it so that if the enemy is close enough to you, he won't move his speed, he will just move where you are. Okay? So movement in pixels. Is that. And if our current movement, or if the distance, this is going to give us the distance. If our distance to the player, instead of displacement, when you put that in there, it's going to give you the distance. The distance to a player is smaller than our current movement in pixels. Its target is equal to .x, else x plus movement in pixels times the sign. Okay. Cool. So let's see if that fixes that. Okay. Cool. So we have that one going on, but he doesn't shoot. As you can tell probably by now. Doesn't shoot, okay? We are going to make one more thing. We're gonna add one more thing. As you saw, they overlap with each other. We don't want them to overlap with each other. So I'm gonna add a little bit of a approach thing here. T is equal to Y plus TS times 48. We're adding a little bit of an approach guard here. So what this is gonna do is gonna not allow us to move if there is an enemy in the way. Okay. And what else we're gonna do? The other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make the spawning random in the position. Okay. So we're gonna say room width take 64 take take 64. Okay, cool. 64 plus times 2 random. Okay, cool. So this should spawn them in random locations, and then we have the guard, which should the guard right here, which should prevent them from overlapping with each other, hopefully. But this one's gonna be hard to test without mass spawning the enemies, so we might as well mass spawn the enemies. Per second. Okay. Okay, cool. Those are stuck there. Down. So there is a possibility that they will just get stuck in each other. You know what? Let's do that. X, Y, O, enemy 1. Okay, so we're gonna make it so that if an enemy is created where there's already an enemy, they will be destroyed. Just to prevent them from getting stuck on each other when they spawn. Okay. So that should fix that problem. Okay, cool. Alright, cool. So that's done. I guess what I'm gonna do now is make them shoot the lasers. But I do, of course, want to also make them be destroyed by our bullet. So let's make that first. The easiest way to do it is just to add a collision event with enemy, and then other I'm gonna add an explosion script. Oh, explosion. And obviously we're gonna animate it. With code. We're gonna add the time here. I'm recording. Just letting my friend know. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna add a time here for the life. Life, how much life we have in seconds is basically what I'm gonna add here. Life is equal to, let's say 0.5 seconds. Gonna add a little bit of math to make the animation work. I'm gonna add a script for creating an explosion. Of course, the explosion should be above everything, and the player should be above some things. Okay, and then, okay, let me just drink some water. Oh my gosh, damn, I want to put on some soundtrack, give me a second. I'm tired of these songs right now. I'm gonna put some let's see here. Gonna add that and that one. Okay, cool. I'm gonna create a new explosion. Okay. XY size. Okay. Set the size, of course. 0.5, of course. Make it a little bit smaller. With other means equal to 1. 3 smaller equal to 0, then die. And then plus 1 of other equal to 0. Let's just add that as a script. To make it easier for us. And then we're going to have even to comment that. Okay. So, of course we need the HP. HP is equal to 3 for that one. Unless we already did that. Did we? Nope. Okay, cool. Let's see if it works. Okay, there's a bit of a problem with the explosion. And the enemies are not dying. That's interesting. Okay. What is with that? Oh, of course. It's because we didn't add that event. Alright, cool. So create that explosion. That should be all good now. Okay, perfect. So we have now the enemies exploding, which is just perfect. Okay. Now we need the lasers. This is actually pretty fun. Alright, cool. We're gonna duplicate that. A laser. I'm just gonna create a little bit of that. Organized thing here. Okay. New laser. And laser is going to be the bullet used by the enemy. Speed equals to 500. Is 500 enough though? I wonder. Okay, that. Okay, let's make the lasers move slightly slower. 350. Okay. Out of bounds. B box top. Larger equal to room height. Okay. Change that to be with collision with object player. Okay. Explosion. X, Y, 1.0. Actually, let's make that 15. Timer. I'm gonna create this callback function. Timer. Let me just check the timer function here. Time and callback. Okay, so after 3 seconds, we're gonna say restart level. New explosion. And of course, death. Destroy laser. Like that, a little bit bigger. And then I'm gonna create an explosion for the laser to be a different color. Okay. New. Oh, okay, let me just delete that. So it's gonna be basically the same but with a different sprite. Cooldown is equal to 1.0. Timer is equal to 0. That's going to be the shooting timer. Okay. And for the shooting, of course, we're gonna have to calculate the location here. 1660. $16.20. 0, 40. Okay, cool. Okay, we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna make him shoot. So 0.40. That should pretty much be working at this point, so let's check it out. That's so funny. We need to make a big explosion so that the player knows what's up. Especially because there's no sound or anything. Okay, cool. Yeah. Alright, cool. So we're done with that one. We're done with the enemy 1. Now we want to create enemy 2. Let me just check that we're on the right track. Alright, player shooting bullet, enemy spawner, enemy movement plus attacks. Enemy 2. Okay, so enemy 2 is going to be different from enemy 1. Okay, he's going to be totally different. He's gonna move differently, at least. Okay? So we're gonna duplicate this guy. We're gonna call enemy 2. We're gonna change the spriting, of course. And this one's gonna have more HP. It's gonna have 5 HP. It's gonna move slower too. Okay. Oh, damn. What is with that? I need to change that up. Create enemy. Enemy 2. Alright. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this guy move differently. We're going to say... like this one, he's just going to move one direction. And then he's going to move the other. Okay? That's how he's going to work. He's gonna have a move sign variable. We're just gonna say if we're moving to the left, -1, or if we're moving to the right, +1. Okay? And then let's see here, X sign times speed. If place meaning x plus mp times ms y enemy So we're doing a bit of an advanced script here. We're gonna say, if there's an enemy where we're going, then turn to the other direction. But before we do that, check if there's anything in the other direction, and if there is nothing, then we're just gonna go that way, okay? So, MP, okay, MS is equal to minus MS. X is equal to Of course, we do need to change the shooting. $11, $11, $57, $11, $11, $11, $57, $11, subtract. $34.30. And take 34 is negative 23. And take 30, negative 19. Okay. 7 take 34 is 23. And the other one is this 11 take 30, which is the same one. Okay, it's the same thing. Alright, cool. Negative 23, 23. Negative 23, negative 19. And then positive 23, negative 19. I hope I have not been writing too much code maximize like that. I actually am too focused to notice everything that I'm doing right now. Okay. Oh well. Let's see if that works for us. But we're gonna have to change the spawner. To spawn enemy 2. Okay, we're gonna make the laser spawn ahead. Okay, we're gonna make them spawn ahead by about 18 pixels. Okay, I didn't close another one. There we go. Okay, we have enemy 2 working, but do they move? How does that work? They're getting stuck in each other? How are they getting stuck in each other? That's weird. Oh, and they're going outside of the room, huh? Damn. Oh, of course. That's what it is. Okay, cool. So we're gonna clamp it to the room so that they don't go outside. And then we're gonna say, okay, but we're gonna check if we're outside first. Well, actually, let's just do this. Alright, cool, there we go. So what that's gonna do is when they go to the edges and they can't go any further, they're gonna turn around. Alright? And I think that should be it for this enemy number 2. Let's see if they are all good. I'm gonna change their speed a little bit actually. I'm gonna make it like more varied. So 80 plus random times 40. Add a little bit of variation here. So that some are faster than others. I will make it more natural. Alright, cool. Okay, they're getting stuck there. Okay, cool. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make it so that you spawn either one or the other. Okay? So random smaller than 0.5, then we're gonna spawn the first enemy. Enemy 1. Else new enemy 2. So gonna be a 50% chance to spawn one or the other. Okay, so now we're gonna reset the spawn rate. Enemy spawner, here we go, make that 5.0. Every 5 seconds an enemy is gonna spawn. Okay, there's our first enemy. Damn, he's dodging our bullets. Alright. Cool. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a score, okay? So game start. Yeah, is equal to 0. And then okay, this one has 3 health. That one has 5 health, so we're gonna have them with different scores. Okay. Player is plus equal to 100. That'll be 1,000. And then with this guy, we're gonna have 350. And we're gonna draw the score, of course. Make that yellow. Make it a little bit lower so that hopefully doesn't interfere too much. Let's just tweak that around a little bit. Okay, perfect. Let's see if we can get some score. Down. Looks like we're going alright. Looks like we are doing alright right now. 3,050. And I could also make the spawn rate increase over time. Every time there's a new spawn, a new enemy spawn, which is what we're gonna do, since that's more fun, of course. Every time we spawn, a big cooldown, make it to max, 0.5, so that there's 2 per second. Actually, let me just change that. Okay, so it'll go to a minimum of 0.5, and every time you spawn, cooldown will decrease by a quarter of a second. Or actually, yeah, let's make the cooldown decrease by 10%, so that when it's 5 seconds, it'll decrease by 0.5, but when it's something like 3 seconds, 0.3, and then when it's like 1, it'll be 0.9, etc., all the way until it's 2 enemies per second. Not sure that we'll be able to test that very well. I guess we can try to have a bit of a playthrough. You can of course add your own sound effects or whatever you want to do. Down. That's already a lot. A lot of lasers coming my way. Up. Down. Down. This is too much. $27,000. I'm down. 30,000. Then we're going to create an object score. And we create a new font. Score big. I'm going to create that. Just so that at the end it shows your total score. Then we're going to create an object. I'm going to draw that. 5, color yellow, 1.0, score big, just call it big score. And then center, dot text, wait, to. Okay. Where are my damn things that I had open? Okay. One second, I'm trying to find this soundtrack. Alright, cool. Draw text. Okay, let's see if this works. I have a little bit of score. Let's try to die here real quick. Gonna have one more playthrough, and I think I'm going to conclude this. It's been a while. I'm pretty tired at this point, I guess. It's been a while. Don't know how long. Probably not perfect, probably screwed up a little bit here and there, but hopefully this tutorial will teach you a little bit at least, if you've been following along. Okay, I'm just gonna end it. $7,100. Alright, there we go, guys. That is the game and tutorial for the spaceship shooter. I'm going to leave a download for the full project, of course, and for the no code project, so that you can follow along, obviously, or do what you want with it. It's going to have my copyrighted GameMaker Kit toolkit, which you can use. No credit needed, but obviously I put a lot of work in it. It's written in the shadow language, so I guess I just want people to use it who find it useful, who think that it will help them make small little games, or people who just want to try it because they haven't tried it before. I think that's about it. Everything else, feel free to use it whatever you want. The assets that I created in here are all original and copyright as well, but you can use them for whatever you want. I think that about concludes the tutorial, and I hope it helped you learn a little bit of GameMaker or a little bit of game design, whatever really. I don't know, something. So yeah, thanks for watching. Stick around for more, and peace.